Good evening, one and all. First off, Happy New Year to you all. Hope you've all had a good New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. As you can see, I'm busy in the garage as per normal. I'm filming this on the, what day is it, 27th. Seeing I've got a bit of content to catch up on. First off, I want to start off by congratulating Alex. Messages are just coming through now on WhatsApp on his arrival of his firstborn. So, commiserations, mate. I now know where all your budget is going for all your stuff you want to do on your minis. As you can see, I've got all the essentials, Christmas Maltesers down there, and a drink to keep me going. I thought I'd start off with a quick update on plans for 2020, and I've got myself a list because there's that many projects on the go. I'll start off with Austin, which is the green 1388 port. That's the one with the massive oil leak that I need to sort out. So the plan for that is to finish off doing the new half moon oil seal on that one, and that would probably be in January, I'm going to say, but it does depend on when I get into the new storage unit. That might happen towards the end of January, which will bump Austin's work back into early February, but it all depends on when the move happens, really. The B20 VTEC Clubby, that's booked in for bodywork in February, so I'm hoping to get into our, again, I'm hoping to get into our new unit at the end of January, early Feb, and get the assessments done on that, what it needs for bodywork. And then it's already booked in for the body shop in February. Obviously by then we've got to decide what the hell we're going to do with colour schemes, and I know I don't need that much in the way of panel work, and I've already bought some, which you've previously seen on another video. The Sprite, which is a car you won't have seen much, which is the 1380 8-port engine, which is this one down beside me that I was working on in the previous video and the next video. I had some good news on the painting front. The paint that didn't set finally did set just after I posted that last video. So that meant all that scraping off I did on the timing cover was a waste of time. I don't know if you can sort of see behind me, but there's a timing cover over there. It's all wet and just getting painted, and then there's various bits and pieces. Then there's a whole load of stuff in the garage next door getting painted as well. So I'm just basically on a paint drying session, waiting for that to dry, so I can start putting some more paint on and with a few layers. Obviously I haven't touched the timing chain yet, so that's by the by. The Red Hot 16 valve, the track car, the job that's waiting to be done on that is the change the drive shafts and the outer CVs, because I've now got all the parts to revert it back to how it was when I first built it, which was AMT parts. So that'll be done once I get into the new workshop. Probably, I don't know, if the most important one is to get Austin working and fully up and running before I can start touching anything else, because the plan is to do some work on Bumblebee, which I'll come on to next. But I can't start on Bumblebee until I have Austin up and running, and I won't be starting on Bumblebee until after the end of January, because that's when I'm doing the Monte Carlo launch event that I do each year. So yeah, so the Red Hots, that's on the back burner, but I've got all the parts, so I need to do that. And I also need to finish cleaning off the floor, because if you remember on an old video I did paint one half of it underneath with hammerite and stuff where all the original paint had flaked off, so I need to sort that out. Christopher's VTEC Clubby Estate, that needs some work doing on it. The most important thing on that is we need to change the diff from some stupid race grabby limited slip diff thing to something nice and sensible like a Quaif. But that won't happen until the Sprite is back on the road, which is in the garage next door. So I wouldn't like to put a time frame on that one. Obviously I'm going to get the engine done and back in, and all the engine bay tidied and repainted and all the bits and pieces that needs doing in there. Probably, well, that'll be January when I get it all back in, so within the next couple of weeks I would have thought. But then there's the rest of the interior to go back in, the electrics, the roof lining. We're waiting until it warms up quite a bit, because at the moment here in the UK it's sub-zero pretty much a lot of the time. Far too cold to be trying to do headlining where you need it to be really warm, and the amount of heat we need to generate in that garage to get it warm in there is just ridiculous, so we're not going to bother with that until it's warmed up a little bit. And then going back to Bumblebee and the gearbox situation, I've ummed and ahed before about what I'm going to do with the gearbox on that one. And I was talking to Paul Jeffries the other night. Check out his link below for his YouTube page, YouTube channel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a normal rod change gearbox in that one with the mini spares wide helical gear set. I'm going to put a Quaife diff in to suit the higher final drive that I'm going to fit, because obviously the supercharged motor will pull a lot higher final drive than just a normal aspirated car. It's got all that torque and, well, all that power and that torque. I'm going to keep me straight cut drops, my roller drops. I've got a new end housing here which I'll show you in a minute, and the gearbox is on the floor behind me, which I dug out from under the table here, so I'll show you those in a second. Yeah, and I'm going to do that gearbox change, and that will probably be, at a guess, February as well. I'll say late February on that one, because obviously late January I'm going to be using the car, and then there's a bit of a gap between stuff really starting in March, April, and then definitely all has to be done up and running by May at the latest, because May through to September is when all the shows are. So that's my plans for the moment. Obviously in amongst all that lot, the key thing is the workshop move and setting up with the new workshop, and then getting the two-post lift up and all that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of work there. But I'll show you this gearbox now. Right, so this is the gearbox I'm going to use. As you can see, it's a conventional rod change box. If you can see the part number on the side there, DAM 3220, that means it's one of the very first A+ gearboxes. This one was underneath 1275 GT. I think it's Craig's old GT motor, which might have been the one out of Hector, which is the same car that box of stuff over there came from, which is the turbo motor that you've seen in the background in other shots. These early A+ gearboxes had the small idler gear in there, the same as my current 3 synchro box, but the rest of it pardon me, but the rest of it is pretty much your standard A+ stuff. It has the same size main shaft and stuff apparently, so that's the one I'm going to use. I've got a centre oil pickup to go in it already. I need to buy the helical wide gear set, the limited slip diff, and the output shafts to mate from the limited slip diff to my Hardy spacers. But it just needs a very good clean up first. I'm not sure yet whether I'll be building it or I might pass it across once I've got all the parts sorted to my good friend Paul Jeffries. Check out his channel. He does a lot of engine and gearbox builds, and it might be quicker and easier for him to do the gearbox once I supply all the parts rather than me messing about, because it's a long time since I've done anything with a gearbox. This is the flywheel end housing I'm going to use. I had a whole pile of them on the floor before. Insert picture here. And the one I've chosen is this one. This is, I think the casting number is like DAM something or other, which again is one of the last A series, because it's got the small bearing in there, covers. And you can see the difference between the various covers as they've evolved. Between the guarding and whatever you want to call it around the breather, and the position of these like splash guards, And then this one has a lot bigger bearing surface on here, which is why I've mainly chosen this one. And it also has these reinforcing ribs that the other gearboxes didn't have, and that section in there is like an extra bit of reinforcing. So this will be the end cover I'm going to use. And seeing I'm just waiting for paint to dry at the moment, I just thought I'd give it a bit of a clean up this evening, because it's absolutely minging. It's been in the understairs storage for a very long time, so the plan is to use that one. And engine wise, in regard to all these engines that I have lying about, I know I complained on that previous video about having a mess, but it's a consequence of not a lot of space and too many engines and bits and pieces. I think I need to rationalise it. For example, there's a gearbox on the floor there which I've agreed to sell, but it's just difficult trying to mesh our schedules with the guy that wants to buy it off me, because he's from down Wales somewhere, and I was going to take it to Birmingham, and we keep missing each other. So I mean, stuff like that, I mean, it's gonna, the more things I get rid of, the more space I'll have, the more organised I'll be able to get. And once I start putting some of these engines together and then getting rid of them, things are going to be better. Whether I move some of them to the new storage unit as well, I don't know yet. So the 1293 turbo engine is going to get finished. I need to finish the timing cover setup on it, strip that engine there, get the rods out of that one, put the pistons to one side, get the new pistons out of the box behind me, put them in there. Then I check the cam timing, but it is what it is because it's a non-adjustable setup, which is as I bought it. Then I get the cylinder head put on, which is this one sitting beside me. It just needs a repaint. Avon bar cylinder head, I think it is. Oh, is it one that filled? Not entirely sure if it's a turbo fill or Avon bar cylinder head. But that's going to go on there. And then that box that I showed you on the floor before with all the turbo stuff, and there's another box over there. That all belongs to that engine. It's a complete engine management system, all the turbo, all the manifolds, all that lot. So that needs to go. Whether my mate's going to buy it or not, I'm not entirely sure. But I probably need to look at getting shot of it to free up some capital that I've put into it, and free up some space as well. Then there's a K series conversion, a K head, not a K series, just the bare 1330 motor, I think it is, plus the manifold, throttle bodies. I need to finish the cam timing on that one because there was an issue with one of the cam pulley bits, which I've resolved, but I haven't finished that. And now of course I need to start thinking about doing the charge cooler conversion on Bumblebee, and when I'm going to fit that into the schedule I just discussed as well. It's not going to be that urgent. I suppose the important thing is to keep Bumblebee running as much as I can, because that's my primary show car, and it's the totally unique one amongst the bunch. So I can still accumulate a lot of parts yet. There's a whole pile of parts sitting behind the camera there that are ready for it. But the important thing is to get that gearbox done, and possibly when I do the gearbox conversion it might move my engine back in the engine bay a little bit onto its original holes in the subframe, which should give me an extra 15mm at the front, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you're fighting for room to put in a radiator for your charge cooler system, it all helps. And hopefully that might give me room to put in the oil cooler for the supercharger, put it into a better place rather than it being on the subframe where it's not getting a lot of air. Put it right at the front underneath the supercharger, or in front of the supercharger, because at the moment I'm just tight that much of space, I can't get it in between the grill and the supercharger. If I move the engine back 15mm, then I'm laughing, but we'll just have to wait and see how we come on. Right, that's it for your catch up. Gives you an idea of what I'm going to be doing over the next 12 months. Slightly depressing at the workload up and coming, but it's all good crack in it. So yes, I'll continue with my cleaning of this Flywheel end housing while I'm waiting for all this paint to dry. I'll keep knocking back the cider and munching on the Maltesers. All that remains is to wish you all a Happy New Year, and I'll see you next Thursday. But all that remains to do is wish you a merry... And all that remains is to wish you all a very Happy New Year. Happy New Year.